It's great to be here amongst an island of friends. The stated aim of this government is to increase economic growth and reduce carbon emissions. So, put your hand up please if you think it's kind of obvious that we should be investing in public transport. Well, another stated aim of this government, this is from the manifesto, everyone, regardless of the background, can thrive. Put your hand up, please, if you think it's blindingly obvious that keeping children in poverty is the opposite of helping everyone thrive. In 2014, two professors analysed 1,799 policy issues in the US. They found that, and I quote, the preferences of the average American appear to have only a minuscule, near zero, statistically non-significant impact on public policy. And if that research was done in the UK, it would be the same. A whopping 88% of Britons don't trust political parties. Not least because governments respond to the demands of big money over individual citizens. When a majority of citizens disagree with the economic elites or with organised interests, they generally lose. Just yesterday, a story broke, you may have seen it. There's new regulations coming in about banning junk food promotions. The medical evidence is unanimous that ultra-processed food is bad for our health and much of it is addictive. The Department of Health draft guidelines told supermarkets to, quote, shift the balance of promotions towards healthier options such as minimally processed and nutritious foods. So 2-for-1 deals or extra loyalty points on fruit and vegetables, fresh fish, that kind of stuff. The guidance was dropped after the Food and Drink Federation repeatedly demanded the government drop it. The Food and Drink Federation is the lobbying organisation that represents Nestle, Mondelez, Coca-Cola, Mars and Unilever. Not only are conditions like type 2 diabetes life-damaging for individuals, they are economically devastating to the NHS. Politicians love to get their photos taken with kids, but they won't lift a finger to prevent childhood obesity. That's what we're up against. In 1995, Lord Nolan chaired the Committee for the Standards in Public Life, and the recommendations are known as the Nolan Principles, a clear and simple code of conduct in just 7 lines. 1. Selflessness, acting solely in the public interest. 2. Integrity. Holders of public office must avoid placing themselves under any obligation to people or organisations that might try to inappropriately influence them in their work. 3. Objectivity. Taking decisions impartially, on merit, using the best evidence without discrimination or bias. 4. Accountability. Holders of public office must submit themselves to scrutiny. 5. Openness. Taking decisions in an open and transparent manner. 6. Honesty. Holders of public office should be truthful. Wouldn't that be nice? And leadership is the 7th. Holders of public office should actively promote and robustly support the principles and challenge poor behaviour wherever it occurs. Who thinks? Put your hand up for this one as well, please. If all our politicians were honest, incorruptible, and followed the evidence, that our political system would transform for the better overnight. I mean, we'd be halfway there if we just had better politicians. And that's where we come in. Majority has the Nolan Principles built into its DNA. It's right there in our Constitution, on equal footing with our political values statement. And if you're not a member already, get your phone out, scan one of the QR codes, and join. And I don't mind you making a fuss and interrupting me if you join in majority. Because the other thing that's written into our DNA is that all candidates will develop their manifesto in conjunction with the public. And sometimes people are a bit afraid of what the public will come up with. Well, citizen assembly isn't a lottery. You don't just throw a load of ideas out and pick them out at random. It is deliberative democracy. It's about structured evaluation of policies based on the advice and lived experience of the community. It is the wisdom of crowds. When I was North of Tyne mayor, we ran a citizens' assembly on climate change. 51 citizens were randomly selected. They were presented with a question. What is a fair way to deal with climate change in the North of Tyne? And they were allowed to choose their own experts. to debate whatever evidence they chose. They met in total for 35 hours and were allowed to make policy recommendations, which they then voted for. And every single recommendation they came up with was practical, effective, and fair. If you want good education policy, you should listen to teachers. If you want good health policy, listen to doctors. If you want to know how to speed the buses up, ask the bus drivers. Trusting the public is the heart of democracy. And, you know, people know that political parties lie to them. How often have you heard someone say, well, who else can I vote for? At least it's not as bad as the other one. We need competence and integrity for local policies, national policies, for international policies. Right here in this city, we had our public parks put into a profit-making trust. And I was there in the Labour group when some of us advocated that the parks groups, the people who actually volunteered in the parks and used them, should be included in the governance. And the cabinet member responsible for pushing it through, Kim McGuinness, said, we spent £120,000 on legal advice, so I think we know better than you. What happened? Broken play equipment, rats overrunning the parks in broad daylight, and the council now spending £7 million of our money bailing out and avoiding failings. We'll loan £40 million of our money to a failing hotel, which we won't see that money back. The new metros, which were supposed to be in service last year, have been taken out of service because the doors open on the track now. And what response did we get from the mayor? I've asked for an update every day. That is not proactive management. Your job when you're in charge is to prevent things like this happening. And then if you've got time left over, you can do your photo opportunities. The Gateshead flyover is still closed after 6 months. This place is falling apart. And we know, and the public knows, we can't fix everything everywhere all at once. When I introduced the Citizens' Assembly on climate change, I told them I would implement the recommendations, but that would come into 3 broad categories. There are those that I had the power to do, and if that was the case, I will do them. And I did, we did. We had climate education in schools, and zero carbon, zero poverty community projects, and thousands of high-paying jobs in green industries. The second category were those that required collaboration, where I had to work with other bodies and forge partnerships, and we did. And we built 4,000 eco-friendly homes on brownfield land with solar panels and air source heat pumps, or district heating. But there are those policies that were beyond the power of the combined authority. But I didn't ignore them, said instead I would lobby for them and fight for them, and negotiate a £6.1 billion devolution deal to get the power and the resources to have a publicly owned transport system with free travel for under 18s and anyone in full-time education. And those powers are there and should be used. So today, we are kick-starting a process to get the people back in charge. In a moment, Molly's going to introduce the Assembly and how it will work. But after that, well, we need to take power and implement it. Person after person that I talk to tells me that they feel politically homeless. In May next year, there are all-out elections in Newcastle City Council. And Labour are going to lose it. They've lost control already. But it is dangerous to leave a void. It will be filled. So I hope somebody here today will be brave enough to stand up for democracy and put the Citizens' Manifesto to the people of Newcastle. And we can do this in Gateshead and Sunderland and South Tyneside too, all have all-out elections. This is people power, here today. This room is bursting with people who want to make a difference. So thank you to everybody who's turned up, and thank you to all the volunteers who've made this happen. Thank you to all the campaign groups who get it, who've come along. We want to get things done. This is what social power is. And we can't fix everything everywhere all at once. But where we are being let down by national government, we will not just roll over and quietly implement their cuts. We'll have a 40-foot banner down the side of the Civic Centre telling people precisely who is cutting the money for their kids' mental health services. And we'll get a bus down to Parliament and demand our MPs put their constituents before their party whips. And when the next election comes, we'll replace them too. Democracy is about the will of the people. If they won't do it, we'll replace them. And we're training candidates so they know how to implement the manifesto when they win. And so many of the things that have been spoken about, active travel, citizens' journalism, community wealth building, increasing skills. I know they work because I was doing them as North of Tyne Mayor. You might not know, but I changed this idea of giving away money to private companies and said, no, we will take shares in them. And the first cash-in came back. And there was a company set up that wanted £10,000, we give them that as a grant. When they wanted to grow, we took £100,000 shares. When that was sold on, we had millions coming back. Isn't it the case that we always seem to nationalise the losses and privatise the profits? Let's change that. So, this is how we're going to build this new movement. Not just by saying what we're against, but by saying what we're for and how we're doing it. A movement built on social power, not sitting around passing resolutions. A movement with a mass base. And I'm speaking to people right across the country. People are up for this. I'm talking about MPs and councillors and trade unionists and activists, and most of all, citizens who just want a better world and will network and learn and inspire and support each other. And we need that final link in the chain. An electoral project to enhance all the gains made through social and industrial struggle. Because the People's Party that was founded by Keir is now a pro-genocide, pro-billionaire, neoliberal party under Keir Starmer. And if we don't fill that void, fascists will.